Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Welcome everyone to this week's regular rollers. This week's list is brought to you by Greg Morris Cards. More on them coming up in just a bit. Let's roll. This was sent in by Dan, who wrote, I've been collecting 2006 Fleer Ultra Platinum medallions as they pop up on eBay, both because they are great looking cards, but also because I find them undervalued in the hobby. I was able to pick up this BGS 8.5 Dwight Howard for $64 with shipping. It's a pop 1 BGS with no PSAs, no SGCs, and no CGCs. Pretty cool to own a true pop 1 from a set that I really enjoy. Yeah, this is sort of interesting. You know, 2006 here, this card's numbered out of 100. If you push this back 10 years and said this was a 1996 card, Dwight Howard wasn't playing then, but a Dwight Howard equivalent player from 1996 out of 100, this would be a 4-figure card, but somehow over the course of the next 10 years, that really drops, you know, here, like you said, down to $67. I'm not sure how to explain that. I guess the hobby was a lot more popular in the 90s than it was in 2006, so more people just sort of remember those sets. But yeah, that's a potential sort of undervalued long-term thought, you know, picking up sort of low serial numbered cards from around this era for a total discount compared to, you know, the 1990s. This one's sent by Mike, who wrote, I came across a 2001 Fleer Derek Jeter auto card that sold on eBay yesterday for over $1,000. What strikes me as something unusual with this is that the card back was not shown, and I'm not convinced that the card has a legit auto on it. The seller is one that, while they have a lot of positive reviews, there are over 100 negative reviews with recent ones on there as well. Yeah, so I really like your thinking. Just always be cautious. If you're not sure about something, you know, stay away. You know, check the seller feedback, that sort of thing, and just be careful when buying on eBay, especially raw cards on eBay. But in this case, the seller is Probstein, and you know, they're the largest card seller on eBay that there is, and they definitely have some issues and like you said, a whole lot of negative feedback. But they're not going to be pawning off a fake auto here. This card's legit. They often don't show the backs, I assume, because they just do so much volume that they don't have time. But I don't think they show the back of the majority of their auctions. This card here is definitely good. But again, I like you being you know, thinking in those terms and being cautious. Now time for our history lesson of the day. This was sent by Moritz, who wrote, this is an old German card from a series that was issued for the Olympics during the 1930s. The 1936 issue has a bunch of Jesse Owens cards in it. This one shows, among others, the famous silent movie director Douglas Fairbanks, Duke Kahanamoku, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, and Paavo Nurmi together, and I guess it's not easy to find much more vintage star power on one card considering their achievements. Nurmi was a famous Finnish runner who won 9 Olympic gold medals during the 20s, and Kahanamoku won 3 gold medals as a swimmer. On top of that, he is known as the godfather of surfing, as he is credited with popularizing the sport worldwide, which before was mostly just known in his home of Hawaii. Wow, that is awesome. I had no idea this card existed. I would have never known who any of those people are, but very cool to see a card like that. $41 is what it went for, and I would say that's a $41 well spent. This was sent in by Grant Darnell, who wrote, I collect football cards and do not touch anything else. I was looking at Letterman autos, which are a popular set. I then wondered if I could make my last name and display it, which is Darnell. I then discovered James Darnell. He was a second-round Major League Baseball draft pick who went on to play 25 games in the bigs before injuries ended his career. I have no relation to James Darnell, but there was a seller selling the company's the complete last name of Letterman's. I offered the seller $40 and he quickly accepted. This is probably a rare case where I overpaid and I'm okay with it, and the seller was able to sell a lot that is difficult to sell, as James Darnell cards don't have much desire, but I'm looking forward to displaying these cards in my office. Very cool. I love stories like this. A very personalized collecting story. Very cool. This one was sent by Kyle, who wrote, I picked up this Ricky Henderson 1986 Topps Tiffany PSA 9 for what I thought was a steal. The last PSA 9 copy sold for $250, but I picked this one up for $60, buy it now, $70 all in after taxes and shipping. The card showed up in one of my daily email alerts for Topps Tiffany. Usually I find if any amazing deals come in through the eBay email alerts, the item will have already sold by the time I jump on eBay to check it out. But in this case, the card was still available, and I hit the buy it now after 2 quick minutes of research. I had originally planned to flip the card for a quick profit, as I was not in the market for one, but the more I look at it, I'm realizing it may be hard for me to sell. I just love the way the 86 Topps black and white border color matches with the photo so well. The eye appeal of this card is off the charts. It's a thrill to occasionally find deals like this through eBay email alerts. It's like finding a $100 bill on the ground. This one is sent in by Ethan, who wrote, I was scrolling through eBay and saw this Devin Booker Mojo Prism at a 25, PSA 10 that sold for $5 plus shipping. The PSA label says that the card is a hyper prism, which is a fairly common prism parallel. The seller listing the title also says it's a hyper prism and makes no mention of the serial number. Mojo prisms of star players like Booker usually go for quite high amounts, but it seems that nobody really noticed the numbering. Not only is the card a PSA 10, but is numbered 25 of 25, which can occasionally add some extra value. I just thought this was an interesting one and wanted to share. Yeah, great one. And I mean, obviously PSA got this one wrong. And, you know, sometimes I think Panini just makes things so confusing on purpose just to, I don't know, confuse people. But like Mojo Prism, Hyper Prism, there are so many of them that they all look so similar. Very, very hard to distinguish which one's which. And okay, they're going to put a serial number on the card, but they're going to hide it way down where you can very easily miss it. Look in the lower left there is a serial number in front of his foot. I mean, first glance, you would totally overlook it. Obviously, you know, PSA missed it, as did the seller here. I'm sure just that led to all the confusion. But I guess congrats to the buyer for getting a total steal here. Who remembers collecting these in the mid-'80s? This is a 1985 Topps Garbage Pail Kids Atom Bomb, and this was a very, very popular set in sort of the mid to late 80s. A set, I mean, it was designed for, you know, it was targeted at kids and had a lot of sort of gross out humor on it. Nice play on words for a lot of the you know, characters' names. Atom Bomb here, for example, and this card actually is the most valuable card from the set. It's not card number 1, it's card number 8, but it was the card used on like on the box and sort of in the promo, so it's the most recognizable image card from the set. And this raw copy here goes for $107.50. These can actually fetch really, really big money in you know, PSA 10 type of thing, but even a raw copy here, $107 is. These came in whatever they were, 40-cent packs, you know, back in the day. The seller here is Greg Morris Cards, who, as I mentioned at the beginning, is sponsoring this episode. They're one of the most respected eBay sellers in all of the hobby, especially when it comes to raw vintage, which is sort of their bread and butter, but they also have, you know, lots of graded and lots of modern as well. I'm a huge fan of theirs. I'm a customer as both a buyer and a seller. I highly recommend you give them, you know, you check them out. I've included links to their website and their eBay store in the description below. This was sent by Eli Evers, who wrote, I just purchased a 2006 serial numbered Rafael Nadal card for about $14, including shipping. There was a recent sale for a PSA 9 that sold for $240, and when I received it in the mail, the condition looked fantastic. I think I was able to get a deal because the seller put it in the collectibles category instead of the sports card singles category. If I wasn't specifically looking for this one, I don't think I would have found it. It's crazy to me how relatively undervalued tennis cards are, considering how globally popular the sport is. This is only the second year Nadal has a game-used memorabilia card, and he is definitely one of the greatest of all time. This would be the tennis equivalent of a 2014 Mike Trout game-used card, but is orders of magnitude cheaper, even though tennis has approximately twice as many worldwide viewers as baseball. I also have Roger Federer and 2 other players from the set, and there are 10 cards total, so I'm on the lookout for any good deals to complete the set. Yeah, love your analysis all around. Rafael Nadal, all-time great, obviously. Great price here to, you know, $8.50. That's a total bargain, and yeah, I think probably putting it in the collectibles category definitely hurt getting the correct eyeballs on this listing here. And if I own this card, this would definitely go straight into the long-term hold box. This was sent in by Guy Williams, and it's a funny listing, very interesting card as well. 2005 Topps JayZ, and it's the gold parallel, serial numbered out of 99. This screen is graded in SGC Gem Mint 10, and this is a very, very expensive card. JayZ's got some cards from 2005. Topps put him in a bunch of the basketball sets. I mean, it's basically considered, you know, his rookie today. Again, serial numbered out of 99. What's funny is in the listing, and it's in auction, and starting bid of $2,500 with no bids at the time that I made this video. But the serial numbered 51 of 99, and the seller tried to use that as a selling point because JayZ is currently 51 years old, as if that serial number matters, which is, you know, obviously ridiculous since JayZ is going to be 52 years old next year. So that serial number will not be relevant for very long. You know, I got 99 problems, but falling for the serial number listing here is not one of them. This was sent in by Glenn, who wrote, I picked up this 2013 Topps Update Nolan Arenado Walmart Blue Border BGS 9.5. It's a true gem for $170 all in, and if you notice, the seller failed to mention the Walmart Blue parallel in the listing. I've been picking up Arenado rookie parallels whenever possible, as I agree with you that he's severely undervalued. I'm pretty sure I got this slightly below market value, which I will take all day with a low pop card like this. Yeah, you know, not much more to add to it. You know, I do think Arenado is undervalued. His sort of career trajectory is, you know, a lot more impressive than his sort of card values reflect. And This is his top flagship rookie, a tough blue parallel, and in ultra high grade. This would also go into my long-term hold box if I were the owner. Here's a card I wanted to show just to highlight the incredible disparity between offensive and defensive players in football and their card values. This is a 2016 Panini Prism Jalen Ramsey rookie. It's a silver prism, although in 2016 and 17, the rookies only came in silver prism, so there wasn't like a base for the rookie, but they're still, you know, semi-tough cards. 2016, Jalen Ramsey, I mean, he's one of the top defensive players in the game. I mean, I don't know, top 5 probably. Of all defensive players in the game, I don't know if he's top 5, but he's in that conversation. And this card sold for $4. This is his Prism Silver rookie. Other players from this set, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, for example, basically quarterbacks who are at this point, you know, mediocre at best, their cards, this exact card would sell for $30. Ezekiel Elliott from this set sells for about $60. And, I mean, Patrick Mahomes from the next year sells for $1,000. You know, on the offensive versus defensive scale, Jalen Ramsey's probably somewhat close to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, in terms of where he would rank in the league. Maybe not quite that high, but $4 for his rookie here. I mean, he's way ahead of someone like a Carson Wentz, or, you know, Carson Wentz might be the 25th best quarterback in the league. Jalen Ramsey's probably the top, you know, 2 or 3 cornerbacks in the league, and his card sells for, you know, 20% of Carson Wentz. I just, you know, I understand the interest in offensive players versus defensive players, but just how incredible the disparity is always sort of surprised me. It didn't seem like it should be that much. All right, we'll finish on a vintage bargain. We're going with boxing. This was sent by Tom Thomas, who wrote, "After collecting baseball cards for nearly 30 years, I started to venture into vintage boxing, multisport, and non-sports cards pre-1940s. I'm especially intrigued by old boxing Hall of Famers. They always seem to be relatively undervalued compared to baseball, just a fraction of the price. I stumbled across a PSA 9 George Carpentier card from the 1926 Casanova set. 1926 is Carpentier's last active year as a boxer. He was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1991. I was the only bidder of the card and won it for $100. I thought this was a steal for a 96-year-old card in super high grade of a Hall of Fame boxer during his career. The card is a pop 1 with none higher, and the next closest grade is a 6.5. It's only been graded 7 times in total by PSA, and SGC has never graded a copy of the card. This set is this card is from has other great boxers such as Jack Dempsey and Jack Johnson, but their cards are hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars in low to mid grade. I'm guessing I was the only bidder since Carpentier isn't very well known, and still the title was lacking info such as that it's a PSA 9. Very happy to add this to my collection. Yeah, I mean, this is like this is another one of those sort of mind-boggling things where Hall of Famer. I get it. He's sort of probably considered a low-end Hall of Famer in the boxing world, but low-end Hall of Famer, 1920s card, PSA Mint 9 Pop 1. I mean, those, if you had the baseball card equivalent of that, you're talking many, many thousands of dollars. And here you get a Hall of Fame boxer for $100. Yeah, like you said, I would call that a vintage bargain. But that's it for this week's regular rollers. Hope everyone had a good time, and we'll see you all again real soon. Thank you, everyone, again for all the great submissions. Please keep them coming. Thanks, everyone.